championship so close you can taste it.
Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100.
Side by side. And your new champion, Andersen. Pace car getting ready to duck on off, and it'll do that right now. Coming out of 14, drivers working their way into the hairpin. Kiko Porto and Christian Brooks on row 1. Matt Roungarito, Josh Green, row 2. Michael D'Orlando and Yuvan Sundaramurthy, row number 4. 6 sophomore drivers. In fact, Sundaramurthy in his third year into the punch-off zone. 250 feet box where they're able to push off, but it's got to be Kiko Porto first. He's waiting. He's ready to spool up, and he goes. Green, green, green. Christian Brooks trying to come across, and he does. Tucks right in behind his teammate. Matt Roungarito giving him enough room to go into turn 1. Brooks will go ready to go to the outside. Roungarito to the inside. Brooks trying to make it work. Hanging the cushion. Not able to do it. He slots into P number 2. Kiko Porto leading out of the opening couple of corners. MRG. Matt Roungarito goes to P3. You can see Billy Fraser on the outside coming through turn number 3 as well. This is where they'll scatter them. 2 wide down into turn number 4. Be Smart coming through here into the tight part of the racetrack, Todd. 5, 6, and 7. We know the tightest part of the track, turn 7, then the double apex 8 and 9. Just hoping they can get through cleanly this time through.
Looking good so far. They have strung out in single file through the first 15 or so cars, it looks like. And in fact, just about the entire field now, single file, getting through lap number 1 smoothly as they make their way out onto the back part of the course now. And again, picking up a little bit of speed as they head towards that challenging corner 10, which is another area that's caught drivers out, and looking good so far through the first 10 or so.
Indeed, opening lap, hoping that everybody gets through cleanly here. Once they'll do that, they can settle into their individual battles and go to work. Love to see a green to checker one here. We've had that many times before for USF 2000. Ideally, the young drivers here have gotten it out of their system a little bit. I'm sure a number of them sitting down with our race control race director, Joel Miller, veteran driver, of course, of the Mazda program. Everybody settling in nicely here now. Kiko Porta goes to the lead. Christian Brooks into second. Matt Roungarito third. D'Orlando fourth, Green fifth, Rowe sixth, Sundaramurthy seventh, Kohlbecker up into the eighth position, or seventh position rather. No, eighth as Rowe has gone into sixth. Good start there for Miles Rowe.
Single file still up at the front of the field. It's Kiko Porto and Christian Brooks, Matt Roungarito, Michael D'Orlando, and Josh Green. That is your top 5. 1 lap complete. I don't mean to be sarcastic when I say that, but that is good that everybody has been able to settle in. And now this is the kind of rhythm that you want to start to develop. You start to get the feel of the car underneath you, and as you said, assess the difference in the track conditions from when they were on track first thing this morning, or very early this morning. It will have a very different feel in these USF 2000 cars.
Indeed, that once you get into this kind of single file order, you'll also get into your own battles. You'll settle in, drivers in front of you, that's the guy you got to go to work on, not so much some of the craziness where you're trying to make that low-risk dive bomb move because the opportunity's there. You mentioned it, Todd, last race here in USF 2000. The simple fact, you can get the most passes on that opening lap, right? And the problem is drivers start to get a little too over-aggressive. Here's the battle for the lead now out of turn number 1 over to turn 2. Christian Brooks hounding Kiko Porto. Brooks running P2 right now. You know, you wouldn't fault him for bringing home P2 and getting those points, but he wants the double race win here at St. Petersburg. Able to get out of the first couple of races with the lead. We'll go to Indianapolis Motor Speedway in a couple of weeks, but right now Kiko Porto picking up where he left off last year.
You mentioned earlier that you don't talk about the championship, but you do think about it if you're Christian Brooks. When you do score a race victory, when you do have a great starting position, becomes about managing your expectations as well. You're always looking for the opportunity to take that position away from Kiko Porto, especially less than 3/10 away in the first couple of laps. You're looking, and these cars will change as they go through the 20 laps of this race as well. A little bit of fuel will burn off. Which tires are a little more used and abused than some of the others? Are some of those fresh tires going to have an impact from the starters that did hold back a set for this race?
And they're going to be better at the end of the race, right? Maybe a little bit better early, but at the end of the race as well. We talked about Jackson Lee running in the 21st position right now. One of the drivers that had fresh tires, Dylan Christie as well. He's currently in 13th. Christie started 14th, so 1 spot, but it'll be later on in this race. Potentially those drivers will step things up. We'll again pick up some of the drivers, try to see who's working their way forward right now. But again, you're right. These drivers can tell you straight up in the paddock that they'll take any move to make the lead, to go for the lead. But the bottom line is, in the end, they'll start to consider the car. You're going to assess how good your car is as this race goes on. Can I make the move? Can I push to the edge here to try to get a pass by? Maybe it's not perfect. These tires are starting to go off. Again, only 3 sets for the 5 sessions. These guys are all, majority of these cars, two we know that went on stickers. Everybody else on tires they qualified on. So they've already taken the best out of those tires. It's now managing what you have left.
And that's part of the learning process as well with the USF 2000 series. That is the objective. Everybody's here to learn and to improve their skills, to improve their racecraft. Managing your tires throughout an entire session and an entire weekend is part of that learning process for the drivers and for the teams as well. If you've got fresh tires in this race, you understand that you will have significantly better tires in the late going. It's better to be a little less aggressive in the early going, save those tires where you can really take advantage in the later stages.
Drivers rolling down the front straightaway, ducking on into turn number 1. You see the 5 of Spike Kohlbecker, the 19 as well of Andre Castro. Right behind them, the number 2 of Thomas Naveau, and then the 23 of Jace Denmark. Drivers making good moves right now. Eli Navarro started in the 22nd position. He's now up into 16th spot. Ken Vaccaro not able to make the call, neither Bajoy Garg. Nolan Siegel was involved in that incident. He was able to come back. Michael Myers with right front damage in the contact with Bajoy Garg. The incident that caused Jace Denmark to get a 30-second penalty. Trey Burke back on the racetrack as well. Jackson Lee was able to sneak through. So the drivers that were involved, Garg and Vaccaro not able to start. The other drivers getting settled in further back.
A little bit of shuffling of position in the first few laps in the early go, and Yuven Sundramurthy has lost a spot and shifted back 1. Thomas Naveau has also shifted back 1 spot from the early going as we're working lap 5 now. It's still Kiko Porto leading Christian Brooks by just over a half a second.
Billy Fraser, 4th spot in the opening round, in 15th right now. Fraser trying to see if he can't track down Dylan Christie. Last time by, Fraser quicker by 4/10 of a second to Dylan Christie. We got ourselves a couple of battles. Look at this fight here. That is a great battle there. The 11 of Campbell, the number 24 of Josh Pearson. Pearson able to get by Campbell. They were teammates last year at Exclusive Autosport. This year, different teams. And Josh Pearson able to get by Prescott Campbell, move him up into the 12th spot. Campbell goes back to 13th. So those two drivers scrapping it out here. Again, last year for Exclusive, this year moving to different teams. D-Force for Campbell, Pabst Racing for Pearson.
Prescott Campbell's another one who had a little bit of trouble in that first race as well, had some wing damage and was hoping that he was going to be able to hold on and muddle his way through. Unfortunately, that wing fell away. He lost the braking zone, wound up going off track and ending his session early. Yeah, it was a tough one for Nolan Siegel, or rather for Prescott Campbell, finishing deeper in the field, just 3 laps down. Back at 16th, there was so much carnage that it really wasn't that bad. He still was able to collect some points, able to put 5 more markers up. But remember, he came in as the point leader and has fallen significantly down now. He'll try to fight his way back, but as they run on the racetrack right now, he is about 25 points behind Christian Brooks. Brooks still running P2. Kiko Porto out to about an 0.8 of a second lead. Ran about 0.2 faster than Christian Brooks last time by. So Porto out front nicely. Michael D'Orlando in the Cape Motorsports number 4, running in that 4th position. 4th last year in the championship. If you remember, D'Orlando was upside down midway through that race in turn number 1 with the contact with he and Josh Green. Green now closing up there. Actually, Green's having a good scrap himself further back. I want to say that I think Miles Rowe may have got by Green for P5. I think that is indeed the case. Miles Rowe in the Force Indy machine, the number 99, I think up to P5. Tremendous outing here for Miles Rowe. Miles in race number 1, finishing in the 8th position, starting 9th. He's up to P5 right now. This is a pretty good fight for Miles, getting by Josh Green. It's a lot of good action throughout this field. As we mentioned, there's been a little shuffling of positions with Yuven Sundramurthy, Thomas Naveau. Billy Fraser, who you mentioned as well, is up a few spots from the start. He had a good move forward in that first race. Started 8th, managed to come up 4th, finished inside the top 5. So there's a lot of good movement that's already happening as we've gone working lap 7 here in the USF 2000.
Yeah, look at this battle behind Miles Rowe. Miles has been able to pull out nicely over Yuven Sundramurthy and Josh Green. Sundramurthy, so it's Rowe into 5th, Sundramurthy now 6th. Then this big gaggle of cars further back. They are scrapping it out here. That's Spike Kohlbecker in the 5. That is the 2 of Thomas Naveau, the 19 of Castro, the 23 of Denmark, the 24 of Pearson. Campbell, Christie, Fraser. What a great fight right now. Guys going at it. You can see, someone getting deep into the corner. Oh, that was almost an issue there. Driver got too deep, locking it up. Car was sideways under the brakes. I thought that was going to be chaos. Able to get through turn number 4. You know, it feels like things are starting to boil in this particular race. It feels like we're getting to a point where these guys are realizing it's the end of the weekend and they're ready to throw some laps down.
Well, I was just wondering, too, if this is the drivers starting to feel a little more comfortable, a little more at ease in their situation as we're working lap number 8 of 20. This is a longer green flag run than we had at any point in the race earlier this morning. But they're also having to navigate those used tires for the most part. So those tires will be going away perhaps a little bit quicker than they're expecting, and where they're thinking they may have a little grip and be able to make a move, they're finding the car starts to dance just a little bit.
Look at this big block move down to the inside. Watching that move there. That is the number 4, I believe. I think that was Michael D'Orlando getting by Matt Round-Garrido for P3, the final podium spot. Not sure if he actually finished the pass getting through there. No, indeed, not quite by yet. And that's going to bring Miles Rowe up into it. The number 99 Force Indy driver, P5, now up ready to fight with D'Orlando and Round-Garrido. MRG having a big scrap here with Michael D'Orlando, and that fight back and forth has brought Miles Rowe into the hunt. About 2.5 seconds back is Sundar Amurthy, but he's got Josh Green, Spike Kohlbecker, Thomas DeVoe, Andre Castro, Josh Pearson, Prescott Campbell, and Jace Denmark right there. This is unbelievable action. Oh, big move to the outside there. Can't quite pick up which driver that was. That was up front. That might have been Rowe and D'Orlando going at it. I think Rowe might be potentially into 4th.
This is the kind of action that we were hoping to see early this morning when the USF 2000 cars hit the track. Unfortunately, we were hampered by too many yellow flags slowing the process and 1 red flag. We have gone green right from the start, now working at lap number 10 at the halfway point. Green right from the start, and lots of good action.
Great shot of the drivers coming down into turn number 1. Indeed, the number 99, Miles Rowe, has been able to get by Michael D'Orlando. Miles Rowe now up into the 4th position. What a tremendous drive for the rookie, Miles Rowe, for Force Indy. What a great program, and he is stepping things up right now. How exciting is it to see these guys going at it here? The fight potentially for the podium. Rowe trying to get up there. He's P4, trying to go after Matt Round-Garrido.
Started in P7, has gained the 3 positions up to P4, 0.7 of a second behind Matt Round-Garrido, and that is certainly a process that he can move through and gain those tenths of a second back. The way he's moved forward, that's a nice showing in the first half of this race.
Miles Rowe, that team, that Force Indy team, big part of IndyCar's race for equality and diversity. A number of African Americans part of that team. People coming through Coach Rod Reed's program, his next gen racing program, the karting program he has at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, bringing a lot of African Americans into the program, the diversity program, picking that driver they wanted. Miles Rowe was the guy they elected to go with in the first season. This thing's going to go to a 2-car effort next year, and wow, stepping it up, Miles Rowe showing the Force Indy ready to be a force here in USF 2000.
Working lap number 11, it remains Kiko Porto out front. Christian Brooks follows. Matt Round-Garrido 3rd. Miles Rowe from 7th up to 4th, and Michael D'Orlando rounding out the top 5.
Right behind them, Yuvan Sundar Amurthy, Josh Green, good scrap there as well. That is for 6th and 7th. 8th is Spike Kohlbecker, Thomas DeVoe at 9th, Andre Castro 10th. Nose to tail, these drivers so close together. Tough here as well. When you get right up behind a driver, you start to lose a bit of air off the front wing. You battle that aero wash. You've got to get through the hairpin to turn 14. That's the key. That's when you make the run down the straightaway. The wind's essentially coming into your face right now. You've got to be able to beat your driver out of turn 14 to make that move down into turn number 1.
These winds have been very strong this afternoon. It's something that these drivers really would not have dealt with this morning, trying to set up a pass, again, because we did not have a lot of consistent green flag running, but the winds are much stronger than they have been earlier today.
Watch this right now. Miles Rowe setting up on D'Orlando. Do we get a pass down into turn number 1? In fact, he's already by. This is Miles Rowe trying to go after Matt Round-Garrido. Rowe around the outside. Going to try to hug the outside. Round-Garrido not going to give him the room. Side by side coming through the corner. Is there contact? There is not. Wow. Miles Rowe got himself to the outside of the corner. There's a huge rumble. A big curbing on the outside of that corner. Miles Rowe almost flipped himself over and almost contact there. Oh, Miles Rowe pushing at the entry of turn number 4. I think he's hard into the wall. He got together with Yuven Sundaramurthy. We'll see full course yellow on the racetrack here momentarily. Hard impact on the outside wall of turn number 4 for Miles Rowe, I believe. Rowe pushing so hard to try to work his way into position. Tried to get to the outside of, it could be the 22. Our spotter's telling me that could be Yuven Sundaramurthy and not Miles Rowe. Rowe pushed into turn number, yeah, that would make more sense because Sundaramurthy was on the outside. Rowe came to the inside, made contact with him, and shoved him into the wall. Yuven Sundaramurthy, one of the point leaders, finds himself into the wall. Both cars black, tough to see. But wow, we'll get a replay of that momentarily when the crew racks it up. But wow, this is going to bring a haltage here. Full course yellow around the racetrack. Kiko Porto, your leader. Christian Brooks, second. Matt Roungarito, third. You just wonder what the mindset was for Miles Rowe there. Tried to go to the outside. I'd love to see that replay as well, if possible. Indeed, Yuven Sundaramurthy falling down the order, as is Miles Rowe. So you got to expect some potential, I'm going to say left front damage for Miles Rowe in the 99. But Todd, around the outside of turn 1, trying to get back over. And as a huge curb, which is essentially turn 2 there, that kind of 2 complex. You saw him launch up over the curb and come back down, lost some spots. Tried to make up for it. Sundaramurthy got by. He dove to the inside of turn number 4, and we're definitely going to see a replay on that. You can see as he got in there, got into the side of Yuven Sundaramurthy. He's in the wall. Miles Rowe falling down the order as well. So tough one for these guys here, and man, you hate to see it because that racing was the best we've had all weekend long.
And the USF 2000 class, absolutely. Miles Rowe with a tremendous run starting to move up and had gained 3 positions and was working on Yuven Sundaramurthy. And as you said, that left side of the car gets popped up into the air, and when you destabilize the car like that coming back down, it takes you a second or two to collect it and get the wheels back underneath you and ensure that you have the grip. Meantime, you're still moving at a high rate of speed forward, and Miles Rowe saw that there was still perhaps an opportunity to gain that position from Yuven Sundaramurthy. Wound up contacting and taking both of them out.
I don't know how high he got in the air, how he didn't then come down into the side of Matt Roungarito. That I was sure that when we cut to the camera looks back at turn 3, it was going to be carnage across the racetrack because everybody else was coming through. Luckily able to bring the car down. Miles able to control it, but as you said again, you lose that. Number 1, you're trying for 3rd, then you lose 4th. And then you're like, I got to do something to minimize the damage here. And the big move to the inside, had he been able to get the pass done, would have stacked everybody up behind him. They would have got him back in position. But I could see that as he got into the corner, and with Yuven on the outside, you could just see how much wheel that Miles had into the car, and it was pushing in a big way. We're going to have a look at the replay here, I believe, folks, and I think this will be the passing attempt, the repass back in turn number 4. We'll have a look at it here right now. Yeah, this is from the other side. Drivers coming through. You can see Miles Rowe locking up the brakes as well. He gets into the back of Yuven Sundaramurthy. Yuven making hard contact with the tires, spinning it around. And then as his car rotated, he gets back into Miles Rowe. And in fact, Miles has got the rear wing. If you look at it, so there's damage to the left rear of Miles. He's got the front wing of Yuven Sundaramurthy taking that with him. Everybody else taking evasive maneuvers not to hit the rest of the damaged parts that are strewn across the racetrack there. I'll tell you, this championship just keeps changing. I know it's so early in the season. Prescott Campbell came in with the championship lead, Todd. He's had an issue. Oh, here's the other shot. You can see, look at, that's a really shallow entry for Miles Rowe. Yuven starting to come down to the corner, and there's no way Miles is making that corner, carrying that much speed into the braking zone. That's why he went straight into the side of Sundaramurthy.
2 cars trying to squeeze through the space where only one will fit, and it's just everything squeezes down on that apex.
I think it's more the fact that anytime you have a more shallow entry, you have to brake earlier and more aggressively because you're not going to be able to make the corner. You can't take the guy on the outside's got a wider arc. You've got a shorter arc. You're going to have to take a lower corner speed there. And when you don't do that, if you keep the same speed, you're trying to make the corner because it was a late pass. He didn't have the position. He was lunging for the apex. Unless that guy on the outside is going to give it to you, you're going to have to go farther. Your exit's going to be a lot farther down the racetrack, and that's essentially exit was the side of Yuven Sundaramurthy.
Working lap 14 under full course caution, first and only caution so far in this USF 2000 series. Kiko Porto remains out front, started from pole. He's followed by Christian Brooks. Matt Round-Garrido is running in third. Michael D'Orlando in the fourth position. Josh Green in the top five. Spike Kohlbecker sixth. Thomas Naveau moves up. Andre Castro, and then Josh Pearson. And there's Prescott Campbell, who's managed to climb his way forward a little bit in this and is gaining a couple of spots after those two cars have fallen out.
To put the cap on my thought about the championship, and again, like we said, out of the gate, Euven Sunder-Worthy wins the first race at Barber. Turnaround, Prescott Campbell, second in the first race, wins race number 2, got the point lead coming in. We know he's had a bit of a rough weekend here. Didn't have the greatest of runs, got into the wall in turn 14 in race number 1. Euven Sunder-Worthy and Christian Brooks end up being tied for points after the first race of the weekend here, 66 points. Euven's now on the wall. He's 24th. He drops down to 67 points. Kiko Porto, as he runs, would now move into second in points with 79, and it would be a 13-point lead, I believe, for Christian Brooks over Kiko Porto as they run on the racetracks. It's just tough when you come to a track like this, when we say to these drivers, you could finish second in every race of the year and you're going to win the championship. It's these DNFs when you're finishing outside the top 20, especially with a deep field now, Todd. You're finishing out of the points. You're finishing down the order, and that really, really hurts.
That's what every team is looking for, is you want that consistency. You're not going to have a winning car at every track on every race day. If you haven't got a winning car, then you have to maximize your points available. If you have a third-place car, achieve a third-place finish. If you have a fifth-place car, get a fifth-place finish, but don't get a 10th-place finish if you're a fifth-place car.
If you're fifth, fight for fourth, but we'll take the fifth, because if you look at our point structure, 20th on down, 1 point. It's 30 points to win a race. You know, with them fast lap of the race leading the most laps, you can simply not afford a DNF. And I'll tell you, when Christian Brooks had a little bit of trouble in qualifying at Barber, he said, I'm here to make some points. A couple of top 5 finishes. Not happy. He wanted to win races. But he left there saying, hey, you know what? I made some good points there. Comes to St. Petersburg, a win in round number 1, running P2 here in round number 2. What a great opportunity for him to leave here with a massive point lead.
Kiko Porto, Christian Brooks, and Matt Round-Garrido are the top 3. Michael D'Orlando and Josh Green are the top 5 as they run. Everybody lined up looking like we're getting set for a restart here with what should be 5 laps to go.
Yeah, 5 to go when we come back. And I'll tell you one thing, this straightaway is so long, hold your breath, because P2 is not a bad place to be. Kiko Porto punches on that throttle, rolls it on. Here we come down the straightaway. Wind right in his face. Christian Brooks right with him. Matt Round-Garrido there as well. Here comes Porto to the bottom of the racetrack. Brooks is going to go to the outside. Round-Garrido down to the bottom. Little bit of an overcook there. Yeah, big wide arc there for Kiko Porto. Christian Brooks around the outside. Book it. Brooks goes to P1. Porto overcooks the entry to turn number 1, and Christian Brooks tucks down the inside. He takes full advantage. Matt Round-Garrido thinking about the inside as well. They're side by side through turn number 4, through 5. Porto holding on to the spot. Further back, Josh Green going to work on Michael D'Orlando. Stack them and pack them through turn 7, 8, and 9. What a great start to this one, Todd.
Now it's time to go. Everybody's got in the field. They had that long green flag run in the early going. Everybody understands what the track feels like, what their car feels like. And again, with the field bunched up for the restart, this is the best opportunity to make up positions. Christian Brooks taking advantage of it, and that fight up front is continuing for second place now between Kiko Porto and Matt Round-Garrido.
Yeah, Matt Round-Garrido trying to find a way by. Michael D'Orlando wanting to capitalize as well. Back into the hairpin at turn number 14. And again, Round-Garrido trying to get a good run out of that corner. Christian Brooks taking full advantage of that restart. Kiko just went to the inside, lightly overcooked it. Further back, look at this defensive move here for the number 34. That's Dylan Christie. He's on the fresh tires. He's trying to hold off Billy Fraser. Fraser's going to take a run around the outside. I think Fraser's going to grab that spot. Indeed, he does. Fraser into the 12th position now, getting around the outside of Dylan Christie. So move the Kiwi up into 12th. He'll go to work now on Jace Denmark out front with 4 laps to go. Christian Brooks looking to double up here on the weekend. Porto trying to maximize points. He'll go to P2 after getting overtaken on the restart. Matt Round-Garrido, his hands full with Michael D'Orlando, but Josh Green looks like he's one of the most aggressive drivers in the top 5 right now.
Exactly, and there's a lot of maneuvering through there. Thomas Naveau has moved up. Spike Kohlbecker has moved up as well. That's a nice run again for Billy Fraser. We mentioned him a little bit earlier, had a good run in the first race, was able to improve his position. Again, he's taken advantage and worked his car forward and is now up to the 12th or 13th position.
Yeah, Spike Kohlbecker is the one that's impressing me now as well. Here's a guy that I think is going to keep coming on. A top 10 finish in the opening race. Now P6 now. I like what Kohlbecker's doing here. His first season, of course, of USF 2000 competition. The Ignite Autosport with Cape Motorsports driver. He is putting on a show in that number 5 machine, the St. Louis driver, having a good run. And again, look at Billy Fraser up that spot, as we said. Here goes Michael Myers going to work to the inside of Trey Burke. Can't quite get the job done there. Trey Burke running in 19th, Michael Myers in 20th.
Christian Brooks has taken over top spot from Kiko Porter. Matt Round-Garrido in third. Michael D'Orlando still with sights set on third place. He's just 3/10 behind Matt Round-Garrido. Josh Green rounding out the top 5.
That pass for Christian Brooks, huge in the championship. As they run on the racetrack now, I believe he would have a 23-point lead on Kiko Porter coming out of the weekend. Laps winding down here right now. It'll be 2 to go next time by. Brooks, Porto, Round-Garrido, D'Orlando and Green, top 5 here right now. Top rookie, Spike Kohlbecker in 6th, then Thomas Naveau 7th, and then all the way down to Jace Denmark in 11th. That restart, always tough here. Parker Thompson and I have talked about it before. It's almost like you don't want to be the leader on the start. You've really got to get a good run. You've almost got to stack them up. If you're too quick coming out of turn number 14, the hairpin, they're all right with you. You almost got to check up a little bit to hold everybody back. This is the best battle on the racetrack right now, though. Michael D'Orlando in the Cape Motorsports 4. Absolutely hounding Matt Round-Garrido in the exclusive Autosport number 92. That's the fight for the final position on the podium. Orlando trying to bounce back, of course, from the issue in race number 1.
And that's what he's been learning through this first 17, 18 laps of this race. Find the competitor in front of you, watch where you are around the track, see where there might be an opening, see where there might be an opportunity for you to make that pass. Late stages of the race, only going to be another couple of opportunities around this circuit to get it done. In
the mind, though, of D'Orlando, it's got to be a assertive move. You can't do a low risk here. He cannot salvage, end up having another DNF. Contact with Matt Round-Garrido, they both go out. Your season's almost done in terms of trying to win a championship because it's just so tough to come back after a couple of DNFs. He almost needs to be comfortable here to take 4th. Just get that spot. If you can push Round-Garrido into a mistake, go for it. Otherwise, don't make that error. 1 to go this time by. White flag flying at start finish. Kiko Porto trying to close back up here on Christian Brooks.
Kiko Porto has closed up a couple of tenths over the last few laps, and there's the move for Michael D'Orlando to the inside. Can he make it stick on Round-Garrido? So far, yes.
Contact at the exit. Round-Garrido trying to do the over-under. Not able to get the job done, so move Round-Garrido back into the 4th spot. He's got to worry about Josh Green now, and Green's going to get aggressive. He's got the spot still. Good job for Michael D'Orlando getting into the position. Round-Garrido holding him back. They'll stack him up behind him. It's D'Orlando, Round-Garrido, Green, Kohlbecker, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Into the pit lane comes the 42 of Michael Myers. An issue on the penultimate lap for him. Final circuit, though, for Christian Brooks. Down into turn number 10. Got to get through cleanly here. The Californian trying to score 2 wins here on a Saturday at St. Petersburg. Porto, though, Kiko, the Brazilian, hounding him through turn 10. Ultra fast flat out through turns number 12 and 13 into the hairpin turn 14. Christian Brooks trying to get a good run out of the corner. Kiko Porto trying to close, but he will not do it. Ladies and gentlemen, in St. Petersburg in USF 2000, back-to-back jacks for Christian Brooks, the exclusive Autosport driver, winning both ends of the doubleheader here in St. Petersburg. He will take a massive lead to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 23 points now, the advantage. Kiko Porto coming home in 2nd. Michael D'Orlando 3rd. Matt Round-Garrido's put himself into the championship contention as well. 46 points for Matt Round-Garrido. P4. Josh Green 5th. Spike Kohlbecker, top finishing rookie driver in 6th spot. Thomas Naveau in 7th. Andre Castro 8th. Prescott Campbell 9th. And 10th goes to Josh Pearson. What a run for Billy Fraser as well. I got to give props to Billy. We talked about him coming from 18th position up into 12th, 6th position improvement for Fraser. Excellent drive for him.
As you mentioned, Prescott Campbell, too, as well. He started well back in the field in 16th spot and finds himself with a top 10 result.
Yeah, 7th-position advancement for Prescott, which is crucial to keep him back in the championship. He's now 3rd in the title chase, just 24 points back. So a good recovery after a tough weekend. But, folks, what a great run. As I said, back-to-back jacks for Christian Brooks. He won here last year, the final round of the season. He likes the track here, knew he was going to be good coming in. But 2 wins, big for him after a couple of top 5s. 4 straight top 5s, but you put the 2 wins in there, and it makes it even sweeter.
That's a very good weekend. Here is your top 10. Christian Brooks comes away with the 2nd victory in as many races this weekend here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Kiko Porto comes home 2nd, started on the pole, but it was Christian Brooks who made the bold move, got around him. Michael D'Orlando with the last lap pass and goes from upside down to up on the podium here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Had that problem earlier this morning. Matt Ground-Garrido and Josh Green rounding out the top 5. Then it's Spike Kohlbecker. Thomas Naveau moves up 1 spot from his starting position. Lost a few spots in the early going, but bounced back. Andre Castro. Prescott Campbell gained 7 spots from his 18th starting spot on the grid to finish 9th. And then Josh Pearson rounds out the top 10 here in the USF 2000 Series race number 2. Here having a look at the rest of the unofficial race results. Jace Denmark and Billy Fraser started 18th, moved up to 12th, and had himself a nice run. Eric Evans looking a little further down. Peter Vodanovich and Jackson Lee, Trey Burke, and Evan Stamer. We only had the 1 yellow flag period through this race as opposed to the 5 that we had in the race early this morning, but it was significant. Miles Rowe, who had moved forward from 8th on the starting grid, had made his way forward and was looking to try to get himself up onto the podium, had contact going through corner number 2 and 3, lost a position, had contact with Yuvan Sundramoorthy, wound up taking the 2 of them out with contact, both having hard contact with the wall, most notably Yuvan Sundramoorthy, and it was Miles Rowe who collected the front wing on his way back. Here again, the unofficial results. Rob Howden is making his way down to the victory podium, and as you see, there is Christian Brooks, who is stepping out of that car to the warm embrace of his team after a strong run, a terrific run here on the streets of St. Petersburg. He will sweep the weekend. Kiko Porto started on the pole, but it was Christian Brooks who took the victory and snagged it away from him. Rob Howden will have the victory podium momentarily, and he wants the whole team involved in this one. He wants the whole team there to celebrate, and understandably so, after such a terrific run to sweep the weekend here in St. Petersburg.
Fantastic. I mean, to come away with our 2nd win of the day and points leader, it feels amazing. It was a really tough race. Kiko was super fast, and once that restart came around, I just knew that I had to get a good jump if I wanted any chance of the win. Brought him down to the inside a bit, and it seemed like he got his front tires locked. Was able to do the over-under on him, and it was really, really close in the 2nd corner. I mean, he gave me just enough room to where we could get through cleanly. He's always been a super respectful driver, and yeah, I mean, the boys gave me the car that I was able to get it done again today, and everything goes to them. I did my job out there, they did their job, and that's weekends like this only come around once in a while. So I'm gonna enjoy it, have a good time with my family, and get a really good night's sleep tonight.